It's time for the Pat and Patti Show, starring Patti Smith and Pat Hughes. And we're here with the Pat and Patti Show, as we normally are. Everybody say hello.
Hello.
Hey, look, everybody, I was the star. I thought you were coming, and I thought you were coming, but I'm the only one that showed up to be the thespian at the commission.
Very exciting. Well, you did a fabulous job, my darling. And I'm sorry that I didn't come, because I had said I was going to be there, but then I looked, it was the holiday weekend, and I looked over on the agenda, and you weren't there.
You got to remember that you're, after the last time that you spoke, and you spoke, and it's not that we're on David's side, is what I'm trying to say. I know it.
I think we're out there and we don't agree on a lot of things.
I don't agree with you, and I don't agree with you, but at least you're willing to play, you know, like most people in this county. If you don't agree with them 100%, they don't want nothing to do with you.
That's true. But what we're saying is that by not agreeing, what it amounts to is everybody that doesn't agree with Todd and that bunch,
the blue shirts,
basically says that they're automatically for David, apparently.
Right. Well, yes,
so
I know they do.
And they perceive that way
I know they do. Well,
and I'm sorry to tell you, I don't necessarily agree 100% with either one of them.
No. Both of y'all
There's bits and pieces that I agree with and don't agree with, and I have my own ideas about.
We all have our own ideas.
Certain things should be done. Yeah.
I think that's what's wrong with us. We have our own ideas, and they don't.
And people don't like that because because people like to go through and compartmentalize everybody. Okay, you're against me, you're for me, and you just keep on doing like that.
It's a tribal mentality.
Right, but then when you have people who are doing their own thing, and that kind of throws a lot of people
blows the minds of the narrow focus
because you don't
crowd.
know how to deal with them, especially when they can see both sides of the issue.
Yeah, but the point I was trying to make is that if you're a speaker and you're at all challenged
hair-wise,
don't read, because what it amounts to is if you read from that podium,
well,
the county
you can
will
always
give
paint
you
a picture up here on top.
Well, that's it.
A peace sign. There you go.
But if you put your advertising message on top of your head, it's really hard for them to edit it out.
Yeah, because all
I know. So if you're bald and you have a business in Paulding, you need to get yourself a speech and go to the Board of Commissioners and make your points, you know, advertising on top of your head. And if you wear a hat when you go in and you take it off right before you're about to speak, they are not the quickest crowd, so they probably won't catch on.
Yeah,
until it's too late.
Yeah, well, that that would be a thing. But speaking of not really catching on, actually, I think that this may sound like a conspiracy theory, but I think that Todd and the people that are speaking there are in cahoots. I think it's kind of planned.
No.
Really?
What did I say at my last speech? As I was giving my speech, they were already writing their speeches for the next one. As soon as it was rubber stamp 3 to 2, they're like,
well, the deal is that he sat there and he brought up this speech. Who was it? Chris Byram's speech.
Yes, Chris Byram. Yeah.
And she apparently spoke about how insulted she was, and that the IBA and the airport authority meets at the commission chambers as opposed to the airport. She wants to move back out to the airport because she thinks it's unfair for her as a taxpayer to pay for security, even though security's already at the courthouse.
Right.
And Todd jumped on that, and I was talking about public participation. I guess he was trying to prove me wrong by saying, see, a citizen came up here and said that we need to move the airport authority back. Not that it's any of the commission's business where the airport authority meets. I mean, when I was covering the airport authority in 1996 and 94, in that period, Doc Goodman, they met up at the in the city of Dallas because Boyd can, as the mayor says, yeah, y'all come over and use my meeting space.
Right.
They could meet there again if they wanted to. You know,
Yeah.
they could meet. I mean, there were many places they could meet. I mean, and who cares where they meet?
I don't care where
I don't
where
care
they
where
meet.
they
That's just kind of pick. I gotta
Well,
find
I mean,
something to pick.
that's
and
what-
Well,
every
you know,
single.
Well, I mean, I can kind of see one point of what they're saying is that now with the IGA, the airport authority is its own separate entity, which we have no control over. So let them go have their own meeting somewhere else, not on county property. But
No,
You would think that the airport authority would want to be hanging out at their
Airport.
Yeah, Skyland. What is it? What do you
the
call it?
the Sky King Fantasyland. Yes.
I don't think I've ever flown on a Sky King.
See, Dina, Sky King, and this is what I called it because of Calvin Thompson, because he's about my age or hopefully older. But anyway, Sky King was a TV show when Pat and I were kids,
Yeah, I remember
and
Sky
he
King.
was a pilot, and he flew all around. He was sort of like Lassie with an airplane. You know, he was flying around, saving people here and there. So that's where Sky King came from, and so that's why I called it Calvin's Sky King Fantasyland, because he finally used to park his birds a little closer to the house.
I thought people were criticizing him because he had an airstrip at his house and parked his birds there and didn't use the airport.
Well, no, the very first airport authority meeting I ever went to, I heard before it began Calvin Thompson bragging. He just couldn't wait for that airport to open up because he'd finally be able to park his birds a little closer to the house. And it occurred to me then that that's what this airport was all about. It was for rich, Paulding good old boys to be able to park their planes closer to their house.
So you think that the
Disgusting.
you think that the Paulding airport, the FAA would spend $50 million so that
Yes, if Blake
no,
convinced them, if Blake convinced them
No.
that this was the way to go.
Could it be that an airplane in 1977 flying through a thunderstorm lost its power and didn't have any place to go?
Mm-hmm.
And they needed a place out here for these planes to go if they run out of power,
Well,
since there's so many
there's one
doggone
But
airplanes
there's one
coming
in
in.
Polk County.
Yeah.
There's one
Yeah.
I know, but
All
sometimes, but when you got
around.
this, when you got this,
Well, gee, should we put a freaking
So why
airport
would-
on every corner?
no, but you might have
next
one.
to the fire station.
Well, so it's not that kind of deal. What you got to realize is that they actually do, with so many airplanes coming in here and whatever, they needed one here. The
No, they
proof
didn't.
is that Georgia's worst air disaster occurred right here in Paulding County, up at
Yeah.
New Hope, because there was
Right.
no place else to land.
Oh, right. Yes, I'm sure that was the whole reason.
Well,
the plane crashed.
When a plane doesn't have any power and it runs out of power, it's coming down pretty quick.
It would not have had time to divert to PK whatever.
No, it didn't.
It would not have had time to divert
didn't.
from New Hope to my front yard. It would not. My God.
Oh, absolutely.
Besides, I
did.
don't want planes that are falling out of the air to try to make it to Paulding County Airport because I live at the end of the runway.
That's right.
That's
If
the
they
reason
fall
you're in
short,
the-
it falls on your house.
Exactly.
Well, that's your fault. You're. I mean, they bought the land the same time y'all did.
No, that's not true.
Oh, you bought it a year earlier.
No, my parents bought that land like 1969 because I was 16 years old when they brought me here.
Okay, I bet you in 1973 or 74 when they announced that they were going to build a second Atlanta airport.
My parents crapped one. I mean, they were
I know.
very unhappy.
But you were probably happy because that was your ticket out.
No, because I was already in college. I was gone.
Oh,
I was
okay,
out of the
okay.
house. I was
Okay.
living my own life in a dormitory.
Anyway, what bothered me was the idea that Todd brought this up.
Yeah.
And then apparently the discussion had to do with the fact that everybody is such fine, happy folks here. And Chris Bynum says, we're so peaceful, so wonderful, so nice. And, it's an
they're
insult
nice,
because
yeah.
you say that you need to move it up here for security reasons because you've got better security here.
Well,
that's the
they
reason
are
they want to-
cowards.
Well, there's so much vitriol on both sides
Yeah.
that I think there's kind of a level of paranoia about, what are they going to do? You know,
Well, yeah,
because it is reaching kind of a boiling point
Right.
here.
Well, we've got some people that are so cowardly that they're afraid of their own shadow. We've got some people that are crazy and very heavily armed, and they hate each other. So I mean, I can see it's, to me. I mean, I have to admit,
all we're doing, we're just waiting for a catalyst at this
exactly
point to ignite
Well, I'll
things,
tell you,
I
after
think.
the election last fall, when I told the truth about Todd asking me to drop out of the election, and that wave of hate started coming at me, I'm telling you, it was frightening. And then people are calling me and saying, you know what happens to people in Paulding County who stand up to the powers that be? They end up at the bottom of a well. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, there was 3 weeks that I was literally afraid to go out of my house. I was afraid inside my own home. And I never thought in the United States of America I would come to a time when I was afraid inside my home. But in Paulding County, with that hate coming at me, I was afraid. So
So you
wonder
kind of.
why. Why are people doing this? I mean,
Let me play a little clip.
Money makes people do shit.
Let me play a little clip from the meeting, because it was and listen to it. It talks about gray matter
oh my God.
on the walls
Like
of the airport.
boom, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
exactly.
Let's hear it.
All right.
That I asked to request the meeting be held here, and part of it was after my home was broken into, and part of it was after it was said on Facebook, how would it look for gray matter to be splattered in the airport. Now, I think it gets tense, and I think there's moments that, you know, a screening device is something that we did here mainly for the tax commissioner. There's a lot of people get upset during that, and so we were asked to provide that after the legislature gave authority to bring guns into government buildings if it was not allowed. And so that's why we put in the screening devices. But on this board, I'm the one that sits on the airport authority, and I would be the one that they would target if somebody decided to do that. So I think it's just a precaution that we do here. And
Now that's kind of chilling, I think. And you know, you were reading some stuff earlier, and we're going to let you read that. And we're going to put you on.
All right, so here it goes from David Austin Recall Facebook page, May 23rd, and this is edited. Somebody tried to make this better, I guess. And there is in here, there's people's names that are mentioned. Now, I'm not going to mention them here. I'll just refer to them as Evil Woman 1, Evil Woman 2, Evil Woman 3, and of course, Evil Woman 4. The following opinion is my opinion only. I speak for myself, no group. The following is going to be exact and to the point. Evil Woman 1, 2, 3, and 4, you are disgusting. You make me want to puke with all your accusations. You are stupid, lying, two-bit good-for-nothings. You lying about people being vicious is beyond lying, Evil Woman 2. I know what you did. You are miserable, despicable waste of a woman. If you ever came at me like you did someone and their children, I don't know who that is, I would have never, no, wait, here, I would have cleaned your clock right then and there. Evil Woman 2, have you attacked anyone lately? Have you told your friends what you did? I know you haven't. You are too ashamed to tell the truth. No idiots like you have no shame or morals. You have proven that fact. Please, any one of you making accusations of all the vicious comments, prove it! Or just keep lying and gossiping because that is all you have. Witches, all of you. Or no one has been vicious to any of the people, to any of you people. Oh wait, let me go back to that. No one has been vicious to any of you people. I love that one. Again, prove it or shut the hell up. Support the commercialization. That's your right. Idiots follow and believe Larry and Austin's bullshit. Lying and accusations are one thing. Taking joy in lying and attacking children is another. Evil Woman 2, you suck. Anyone who calls you a friend is duped. Oh, and FYI, this is not vicious. This is truth. Big difference. You look like fools with the rants you all vomit. And this, apparently, according to the author, is not a vicious rant. But, you know, it just kind of seemed like a vicious rant to me, Pat. What about you?
Is this just funny, or is it absurd, or is this actually justification for David Austin's fears? I mean, Jerry Sharon was the first one that brought in the folks. I mean, I think if you were to ask KV, for instance, that KV approached this is at the old chamber building when the commission met there, and you know the guy from the marshal stood between him and Jerry, and you know, I mean there's been a history of concern over this, and politicians do get threats, don't they?
Is it a history of concern or actual threats, or is it just a history
I think
of cowards?
It's actual threats. I mean, I know even going back to you know the little bit of time I spent in Washington D.C. 35, 40 years, 45 years ago.
Yes.
You know, we'd have FBI agents walk in. Y'all need to be careful opening up your mail today because we got credible threats that there might be a mail bomb.
But here's the thing. I mean, he said that, and I have to believe that in today's environment, you know, where everything is considered a terroristic threat, that they would have been jumping all over whoever it was that had said that about the gray matter splattered everywhere. I mean, even when we were on the private page, we never saw anybody ever say anything like that. And I think if anybody had said something, there would be a lot of people jumping all over them because that's really taking things too far.
I saw a lot of hateful crap on that private page, but I will give Sue credit that she did delete a lot of it. When people would put stuff up that was offensive, she would get rid of it. Even on the private page.
But you know, by the same token, we live in a society where everybody's clamoring for that right to carry guns everywhere. I mean, that's the reason they put the security in at the courthouse in the first place.
Cowards never have enough ammo and enough bullets and enough guns. I know.
Well, I mean, it does kind of speak to a society that is aimed toward that. I mean, you know. We do live in a violent society of a sort.
Yes, I know.
It's not just the black teenagers that are perpetrating.
Oh no, I'm not afraid of the black teenagers. I'm afraid of my neighbors.
Fox watchers?
Yes, I'm afraid of the Fox watchers who hate liberals, and I'm like that woman at the Kroger.
Yeah, you were saying that days after your election, you were afraid to go to the post office because, to
the mailbox. I was afraid to go out into my yard because I live in the middle of nowhere, and you know, all somebody has to do to knock me off is stand in the woods across the road. Exactly. I know. Well, yeah. I mean, I wrote when I first started doing the anti-airport website, I wrote up there that if I should be found face down in a pile of leaves in my front yard, would somebody please call the cops and start the investigation over at the airport and not call the local cops, call maybe some national cops.
So you think that the folks that are pro-airport are as prone to violence as the people that they claim that the people that are anti-airport?
Yes, I do.
So you just think everybody's violent?
I think that when there's control and power and perhaps money at stakes, people will do whatever they feel they have to.
Yes. And also because they're people. These people in this group. These people are 100% certain that they are righteous. They are right. They're good. They're decent. They're Christian. So anything they say and do is all good.
Well,
I mean, look at the conservative Christian guy who blew up the abortion clinics. You know, he was doing it in the name of God.
And I think even the guy, that guy who blew up the Murrah building, he was a good Christian conservative, wasn't he? He blew up a federal building.
Well,
Timothy
McVeigh. I remember driving by Elohim City one time when I was out just roaming around the Ozarks. You know, it's kind of strange to be driving down a dirt road, just kicking up some dust, having at a 5-speed in the car and whatever, and it was fun, And I'm sitting there, and then, damn, I'm riding by this, fence, and I got people in khakis or not khaki, camo, and with AR-15s and. Looking there and looking at me, and I look up and see Elohim City over this gate, and I want boom, I won't go.
Keep moving.
But it's strange. It can be strange out there, and is it that? Do y'all find this place that strange?
I do.
Well, I mean. You were saying that you hadn't seen anybody like that anywhere else.
No, I've lived.
But I just told you about a place.
Well, but the places I've lived in several communities and in different municipalities around Atlanta, and lots of them in South Florida, because you move across the street and you moved into a new city in South Florida. So I've lived in different municipalities.
But urban and suburban environments.
Yes.
And this is my first experience living in a rural to ex-urban environment, and it's a world of difference than
It's a big
living
difference.
in a suburb.
Yes, it is.
Close to the city.
Yes, it is.
Well, we've always had. I mean, you know, my friend Dennis and whatever. I mean, this was. There have been people that were doing things like training for the Cuban invasion in 1961 or whatever. I mean, this is not. This is
Well, yeah,
America.
but
this
see,
is
people,
America,
but
girl.
people move out
Don't
here.
you know it's good here?
Yeah, well, people move
These are
out
good
here.
Americans.
Oh, shut up. People move out here because they don't want no martyr coming. You know what martyr means, don't you? You know what martyr means, don't you?
Yes, I have found
Moving
that.
Africans rapidly through Atlanta, which I find, you know, if you say that, if you're one of those people that says, you know what martyr means, don't you? That means you're
I don't
probably
know.
a racist.
I tell you what I would like to do, and let's go ahead and end this show, I guess, is encourage people to join the stream of thespians that go up here in front of the commission.
Absolutely.
And talk about various things. You let me down and you let me down, although you surprised me the other day when you came out and spoke. But we need to go up there and we need to actually be speaking. And I encourage, I don't
everybody.
care. I mean, if you're the person that said that he wants to see gray matter against the airport walls, I want you to speak too.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I think we should all know who you are.
Yeah, well,
No kidding.
you know,
Disturbing.
and what better way than to come out on channel 23?
Yeah.
just don't read it, because all they'll see is the top of your head.
Or if you have your own business, you should get a cap or a shirt with your business on it, and then you can
Put
come.
a sign up there.
Yeah,
Put a
yeah.
sign up there.
Well, if you got hair, it could be different.
Well, yeah,
But you should, you know, advertise your business on the county-owned station, because all the blue shirts are doing it.
No. What we need is we need somebody who lives here in Paulding County who has been keeping abreast of what's going on, needs to get up in their 5 minutes and somehow explain to people that they need to start working together.
Yeah.
And start that discussion, because this has really gone too
This thing
far.
I read. This is but
The thing about it is, though, I think both sides realize that somebody is going to be the loser at the end of this. I mean, it's either going to go commercial or not. And
Todd says it is.
And what do you have at the end?
Todd says it's going to go commercial.
You still have a community that has been torn apart, and the only way that you're going to fix it
I thought Todd
after
was gonna stop
somebody
it.
decides, you know, the FAA decides whether it goes 130 or 139 or not. We're the ones living here. We have to pick up the pieces, and that's going to require both sides. So somehow, some way, they've got to start talking to each other. I think that, you know, it probably will go through. You know, it may be 5-6 years down the road, and when that comes out, there's going to be another couple of, you know, lawsuits. But I'm thinking that, yeah, it probably will go through, but that doesn't say I'm not against it and I'm not going to do what I can. Because I don't want
if you have the mindset that it is inevitable that it will happen, then what we're really talking about, and what the issue needs to be reframed as who will control it. And that would, if it's inevitable that's going to happen, then we need to be worried about that.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean,
certification is going to go through. It's a heck of a lot better for people in Paulding County to have Paulding County citizens in control of it than somebody else.
Or Atlanta.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
whoever.
Anyway.
Who's ever behind this.
we'll leave it with that thought and say bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.